Okay, so I started the stream a little bit earlier, but anyways, I just want to let anyone know who come across this video in the future. So I learned a lot from my last stream, and I feel like I need to change up a few things. I feel like that I thought I was making things more like a simple approach. Like I thought I was explaining everything very scientifically and logically. That makes sense, right? When teaching my method. And it wasn't until someone kind of like actually came into the chat and started asking me, you know, specifically because they're still confused after watching my videos and seeing me trying to demonstrate how my note-taking method works. And that kind of caught me off guard because I thought I was being cleared and detailed, and I thought I was already explaining things that someone would understand. But yeah, I mean, it's good though, because I was surprised and I was caught off guard because yeah, when people watch my videos, they are interested, but they are confused. And I guess I'm not explaining things well enough yet to make it even simpler for people to understand, because I'm still getting messages from people who are confused at what I'm doing. So for the stream, I'm gonna try starting it out this way, where I'll start the stream and anyone who messaged me in the stream who's willing to is confused but they want to learn the method, I'm going to pretty much scrap what I've been doing so far and start from the very, very basic. Really try to start from the origin of how my method fundamentally works. And so yeah, that's what's my approach. So I'm gonna start very, very fundamental. Okay, I'm gonna try to explain it more simply and hopefully more better, right? So that anyone can understand. But yeah, so anyways, as you can see from this attention sign, I'm pretty much fishing right now. So anyone who wants to just message on the stream, feel free. And yeah, or you just want to, talk and hang, and that's fine. But I am willing to really try to be better at teaching this method that I created, because I feel like I thought I already, I don't know, I thought I already had a great explanation, but I feel like it's still confusing, and I get that. So I'm gonna try to do better. Anyways, yeah, whoever comes across this stream, feel free. So I'm just gonna do my thing for now while waiting. But yeah, again, for probably future viewers who come across this video, yeah, just basically grab the just kind of fast forward until you see that I am starting the method or teaching somebody, because right now I'm just kind of fishing. I'm just waiting for someone to take the bait. Okay. Fast forward. Mm. until you see.
In your opinion, what's the most effective way to improve? Paying more attention to other people's sparring, maybe a specific way of drilling, training?
That's a great question. It's also a huge question. There's a lot to say about this. I'll try and break this down. Okay, first, our ideal in Jiu-Jitsu is progressive training, okay? If you're getting to a situation where long periods of time are going by and you're questioning whether you're really getting any kind of better, you're getting better at all as time goes by, that's just never a good thing. There should be a sense in which when a year passes by, you should be noticeably better than you were at the start of that year. That should never be in doubt.
Yeah, that's true. I always kind of feel like if you don't have a sense of progress, you're eventually going to give up because you just don't feel it. And that's when you know for sure that your training needs to be changed, right? There needs to be something that needs to change in your training. Because yeah, again, if you don't feel like you're improving or leveling up, then it's like, and you're just going to be stuck at the same level, then it sucks. So that I agree with that.
Question is, okay, how are you going to do this and how are you going to maximize the rate of progression? It's one thing to make progress, but are you making the most possible progress? That I think is the real question you're asking here. I believe the first step is to have a clear understanding of where you stand now. If you don't have a clear idea of what your current level is, what you're currently good at, and what you're currently poor at, and what you need to get to the next level that you desire, it's hard to make any kind of progress. So your first step is always self-assessment. Can you give yourself an accurate self-assessment? And what is that self-assessment going to be based on? Well, it should be based upon how you perform relative to the peers that you have around you. Who are the people you train with? How are you performing with them? What are your most successful elements? What part of the game are you performing well upon them? What parts of the game are you performing poorly? So always begin with the most accurate self-assessment you can give.
I mean, my self-assessment is with memorization. So I feel like I'm leveling up the more I memorize things, and especially using Anki, that flash memory app. I feel like the more techniques I add into that app, I feel like I'm improving. And when I go to the gym to try out these techniques and I'm working on them, I also feel like, wow, I have my knowledge incrementally growing because of my method. But also when I take what I know to the gym to practice it, to refine it, to drill it out and actually execute it on people, then I just feel like I'm leveling up. So that keeps me constantly motivated. And not only that, Anki has this really cool graph feature. This graph feature is basically you can see, open it up, and it'll show you how many cards that you fully mastered. It'll have 3 levels. I think it's like light green is like, oh, it's still new to you, right? It's fully not mastered yet. But when it's dark green, on the graph. It could be a pie chart or bars. Yeah, it just shows that, yeah, these are the techniques that you fully memorize in your head. So Anki is always a good motivator.
I believe that the best way to gain self-assessment is through the use of video. Videotape yourself. We often have very inaccurate perceptions about ourselves. We tend to think that we're better than we really are in some ways, and we tend to underestimate ourselves in other ways. Video doesn't lie. Okay, film yourself going against other people and try to make assessments based on what you see in front of you.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty a smart idea to do, because if you can like watch yourself do it, I mean, people when they learn languages, they always try to record themselves of how they speak or anything. Yeah, you know, you can always hear it and try to work on how you should say this word. And when it comes to Jiu-Jitsu, with especially video recording yourself, you can start to see the little mistakes you're making and try to adjust over time. I think the only thing that I hate about video recording myself is that I have to like set up the camera, and sometimes when you go to the gym, I really feel like it's like some people just, the people you're rolling with, you gotta make sure you ask them, because some people will take it the wrong way where they think that, oh, you want to record because you think you're gonna beat my ass or something like that. And it's like, no, I just really want to prove, right? So I mean, as long as you keep ask the person first and make sure it's okay to record, because people have a long day, right? They just worked hard. They're getting out of some drama they have from outside the gym, and coming into the gym, you know, some weirdo is recording you and just asking you, hey, can I roll with you while I'm recording? It's just like, some people just don't want that to happen. It's like gyms, right? Like your local gym, right? Some gym ban people from recording because it's like people don't want to be on camera without their permission, right? So yeah, recording yourself, if you can, you have a friend that you constantly train with, that's okay. But if it's a new person, you gotta make sure you ask, and if they're okay with it. Sometimes when I did it, people would, you know, they would give me some looks saying like, come on, man, let's just roll. Why are you trying to like record, you know? And I get that, right? It's like, again, after a long day, you just don't, you know, you just don't want someone to like record of them being your ass. I get it. That makes sense, you know? And possibly have them put it on the internet and put some sort of misleading title that says that, oh, I just schooled a higher belt, right? When in reality, like, you guys were just like lightly rolling, and the higher belt was letting you go into those positions. And yeah, you don't really trust anything on the internet these days, but no, I get it.
Listen to the opinions of some people who you trust, but
yeah, that's
also
true.
bear in mind that other people's opinions of you are often inaccurate too. So as I said, video is generally a better way to study yourself than your own perceptions of yourself or other people's perceptions. They also provide a very accurate historical reference, so that a year from now you can watch yourself rolling under or sparring under similar circumstances, and you can compare the videos and give it a pretty accurate assessment. Are you making progress or not? Once you have that clear sense of assessment, who am I, what am I good at, what am I not good at, what do I need to improve, then you got to start building a program which is designed to improve your current strengths and radically improve your current weaknesses. The two kinds of progress you always want to be making are refinement of things you're already good at. Okay, you never want to be static at things you're already good at. You always want to refine them, get better. A good example of Hodger Gracie. Hodger was always very, very strong in cross-collar strangles. But
yeah, that's true. You really want to narrow down what's your bread and butter. You don't want to get good at everything, because if you get good at everything, you're kind of wasting your time. I usually say just pick two techniques, techniques that I really am good at and I really want to hone, and it's to my liking. That's literally my game. So yeah.
Between 2003 and 2008, he got radically better at them. He was already good, but he wasn't satisfied with that and kept getting better until by 2008 it was almost an unstoppable technique. The other thing is you've got to identify your weaknesses and do something about that. What I will say is that you guys in this generation of Jiu-Jitsu have something which my generation of Jiu-Jitsu had to a very limited degree, and previous generations didn't have at all. You live in an information age. Okay, this is a remarkable time in human history where we have greater access to information than any generation previous to us by a landslide. Okay, you can live in the North Pole.
Amen to that. I love the age of the internet. I'm glad I'm living in such an age where I can just look things up. I mean, at this point, it's like you can look things up on YouTube. If there's a technique that you want to learn, just type it in, search, and there it is. You can, I mean, I don't know. There's just so much things that are available.
Oh, far from anywhere. And at any given moment, you can access information from the best world champions. You can go on Roger Gracie's website and learn from the greatest Jiu-Jitsu athlete of his generation. You can be living in the North Pole and watch ADCC live and see the best athletes in the world competing against each other. Everyone has equal access to information. Once you gain that information, you can use that to build training programs. You don't have to be training with the best guys in the world. You just need access to the information and to train with your peers to make remarkable progress over time. Always remember that Roger Gracie, when he moved to England, was training mostly with white belts and blue belts. And yet that was the time he made the most progress in his career because he had information. He figured things out. He used trial and error methods. He constantly worked with the students. It didn't matter that the students weren't particularly experienced. He was still making incredible progress, more than almost anyone at that time in the world. So I'm a big believer that once you make an accurate self-assessment of who you are, what you're good at, what you're not good at, the information is out there. Okay, then just build a training program based on refining your current strengths and working your way around your current weaknesses. I'm a big believer in positional sparring, so that if you have a current weakness with a certain kind of escape, put yourself in there. Volume of training.
Yeah, I mean, positional sparring, that is actually really beneficial. I did it a couple times, and honestly, that's part of my routine whenever I get the chance to train at the gym. If I have like any techniques that I want to work on that I learned from online, I just either during rolling, and I sometimes intentionally let someone get me in there so I can practice the escape or whatever, right? If someone got me on side mount, and I want to work on the side mount escapes or defense, then I have an opportunity to play around. Situational sparring is really good. Positional sparring. I got really nothing else more to say.
Is the key to success. You got to have knowledge. You got to know what you're doing.
Yep, exactly. Acquiring knowledge is the first step to developing skill. The second step is knowledge with practice comes skill.
You got to have a high volume of training, exercising that knowledge to turn it into a skill. By focusing on those current weaknesses, you can eventually turn them into strengths. So that we have situations that, as I said earlier in this video, Jiu-Jitsu was the overall performance of leg locks in Jiu-Jitsu 10 years ago was terrible. It was a disaster. And yet now it's one of the strongest aspects of the sport. You will be amazed at what time can do once you make a strong assessment of where you currently stand an accurate self-diagnosis, usually best done through the use of video. The acquisition of knowledge, and you have a greater ability to make use of that now than any other point in human history. You can go on Hodge's website. You can there's numerous websites out there. There's instructional videos. You can just watch match footage of the best athletes in the world. There's an incredible opportunity for anyone, regardless of location, to gain information. Then it's a question of taking that information and building it into physical skills. Okay? It's not enough just to have knowledge. You've got to perform, and that will come from a training program, which I believe should be focused primarily around positional sparring and the drilling of moves until you feel. And initially, you have to drill moves with a lack of resistance, just to get a basic feeling for the technique. And then you have to progressively work against tougher and tougher opponents, applying it under sparring conditions. And if you can do this over time, you can make remarkable progress. There's an old saying that most people tend to greatly overestimate what they can do in terms of progress over a 6-month period, but greatly underestimate what they can do over a 5 to 10 year period. Okay, if you just have some patience and work in this disciplined manner, based on a clear assessment of where you stand now, the acquisition of knowledge, and the turning of that knowledge into physical skill through a specialized training program based largely around positional sparring and drilling, you'll be amazed at what you can do to transform yourself in 5 to 10 years.
I think you're burning a lot of people neurons there, dude. It's no, I fully agree with you. I think making one note that in terms of improving in practice, when you're actually training with someone, of course you need to assess everything, know exactly what you're doing. But in terms of when you're actually practicing, the best way to improve, it's there's no doubt that it's through specific sparring, because I'm not a believer of drilling, and I think I know you, and you just put now yourself, you drill to learn the mechanics. Once you learn the mechanics, there's no reason to drill anymore, because it's not like, it's different if you want to drill a throw, for example, stand up. You need to drill 1,000 times, because you need the timing. It's you get from drilling, judo, you get a lot of.
I mean, get what he's saying, because I know people use drilling to learn the mechanics, right, of where to go, to really assemble the technique together and get a sense of how to perform it. But once you kind of like figure it out of, oh yeah, this is how I should do it, and it's already muscle memory, then what's the point of constantly drilling it over and over again? I feel like once you kind of got it kind of hardened inside your head, I think it's just all about situational sparring from there. Like if I'm drilling an armbar, right? Okay, now I got the head, I got the information, the knowledge etched in my head, right? If you're using drilling for knowledge acquisition like that, yeah. But once you kind of like have it engraved into your head, why? I think just do situational sparring from there on. I don't want to like drill the same technique over and over again that I already memorized. I want to put it into different situations, because that's more funner, and I learn a lot more than just repeating something over and over again. It's like if I was learning the English word metropolitan, for example. Okay, I repeat the words as much time, refine it until it's like, all right, second nature. Now at that point, like, do I still add it, keep it in my routine of just drilling it over again? Because I already mastered the word. I could say it automatically without no problem. So what's the point of saying the word thousands of times? 1,000 more. Like, what's the difference? I'd rather try to take that word and use it into different contexts, different situations, right? So I don't know, I don't agree with this guy.
Things from drilling on standing up. on the ground game, you don't get anything from drilling because you need to you practice the move, but the moment the other person is moving, now you're not drilling much. You need to put resistance to be able to really implement the technique. And when you do the specific sparring, is the repetition that tells you what you're doing wrong and what you're doing right. Because when you go over the same movement over and over again with sparring, then you see, even you might take longer to see what's happening, but eventually you will do. Because if you keep doing the same escape, let's say we're doing specific from, side control. And
okay, I just want to point out there, I don't know if he's against it or for it. So maybe
every time I'm attempting to escape, I'm failing. But we're always in the same situation. So I'm constantly trying different ways. And the moment that I find something that works, that's the direction that you start going towards it. And even if it doesn't work straight away, but you're always going back. Eventually you start changing things and adapting, and that's how you improve, because you need to spend time at that specific situation. And the only way to spend enough time for you to actually see, your pros and cons is through specific sparring. The full sparring, you get to have fun. You don't really learn much.
Okay, I think he's agreeing with Don here. I don't know. I guess I feel like maybe I misheard it.
Because you don't spend much time in each position. You spend little time in many situations with the specific sparring. It's that's how I always try develop my skills, through specific sparring. So any area that I wanted to improve, that my focus was on specific sparring. When you get to spend time, you found that if I want to improve my submission from the back, I'm going to start on your back, and as I'm trying to attack, you escape, and then I'm going to do I keep doing the same thing over and over again, and you keep escaping over and over, and then suddenly I do something different that now can hold you longer. That's how you improve, through things like that, in my opinion.
Okay, yeah.
Of course, you need to, learn. You cannot do that on your own without, knowledge or learning. Someone giving you techniques to actually try on it. But
yeah, basically, if you don't know the technique, you can't do anything. You don't know how to do it. So once you get that knowledge in your head first, instructions and everything, then yeah, knowledge lets you be able to do something. You know what I mean?
Once you have them, you practice them on specific sparring, no doubt.
Well said, Hodge. The whole idea is to transform knowledge into skill. Okay, you have to make a strong distinction between knowledge.
Connor is so intelligent with the way he says things. I swear.
Knowledge and skill. If you have no knowledge, then the situational sparring it'll make you tough, but it won't help much because you don't have a sense of direction.
That's true, right? People always tell me, oh, why you need to... I mean, not always tell me. Just some weird people always tell me, you don't need the knowledge, you just need to do it. I'm like, what? Excuse me? You just need to do it. Okay, so how do I get better? I'm gonna get lost. I'm gonna get stuck. You're just gonna tell me that I'll figure it out. I'd rather already have the information. I'd rather have the information of how to do it right than just figure it out by myself. You know what I mean? It's for example, a specific technique, right? People see an armbar. There's a right way to do it. You've pinch your legs together. You have one leg over their head, restraining their head, one leg across their chest, and you're pinching your thighs together to keep their arm from wiggling out. Then you have one arm, which one? You have one arm holding their arm, and the other one holding their wrist so they don't turn their thumb. And you keep everything nice and tight, and it's basically all leverage. it's kind of, yeah, because if someone put me into like, told me, hey, this guy's laying on the ground, now do an arm bar, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't know how to do it. Well, you figure it out. I mean, like, dude, I don't, like, okay, like it. I think this will only work if someone told me to just do it. Well, I better have a coach watching me and helping me, guide me to doing it right. I can't just do it and figure it out.
Sparring, you're just trying to survive, or just clumsily trying to win if you're in the dominant position. But once you have a sense of what am I trying to accomplish in this situational sparring, or specific sparring, as Hodge calls it, that's when the magic starts to happen. Ultimately, you need to have a high volume of training. And what situational sparring does is it gives you tremendous volume of training in specific areas in a relatively short time frame. So you can get very good very quickly in those specific areas. Then you start patching those areas together, and that's when you start training under feet to floor conditions, and suddenly you notice you're significantly better than you were, say 3 months ago or 6 months ago.
Hey guys, most people start.
Yeah, great advice from the legend himself. Yeah, I would say, I think, again, the first step to developing skill is, knowledge acquisition. Like, the second step is knowledge with practice comes skill. And I really believe that the more knowledge that we're able to absorb in our heads more efficiently and effectively, the more efficient and effective our practice becomes to develop the skill more effectively and efficiently. There you go. But anyways, that was a good video. Looks like there is, still no one caught the bait yet. Again, if you happen to watch this video, this live stream of this video in the future, please join the live stream. If you're interested in learning my method, or you just want to hang and talk or debate about things, then I'm all ears. I'm gonna bring this tension sign real quick, just a little lower. Okay, well, it should be this. I'll get rid of it if someone comes in. It's just there to make sure to let everyone know that, hey, if you want to get something out of the stream, shoot me a message right now. I swear, this is literally the reality of live streaming. I'm getting the taste of it. Yeah, sometimes you just live stream and no one's watching, and yeah, sometimes it's like I get to experience what it's like to be a schizophrenic, just talking to myself. On my past couple streams that I did this when I started it, yeah, it felt like that. Like I was just a schizophrenic, just talking to nobody, just by myself. I'm getting used to it. I'm getting more confident of doing this live stream thing. But yeah, I could see if someone tried doing their first live stream, it's pretty difficult, Alright, I'm gonna watch this one.
To the best of our knowledge.
Okay, hold on. There we go.
The current evidence suggests that the triangle first emerged in Japan, probably in the Kosen Judo high schools, shortly before World War I.
Wow.
Sometime around 1910 to 1913. That's our best available evidence. It's possible that we're wrong. It's possible that someone did it earlier, but we don't have evidence for it. To the best of our knowledge, the triangle is a very, very recent innovation. It's just
Kind of like the saying, like, who started drinking milk? Yeah, I mean, whose bright idea was it to look at a cow and just be like, oh, I'm gonna drink the milk from that cow, right? So it's kind of like the triangle. Who started? Like, who's the guy that says, dude, get between my legs and have one arm in, one arm out, and I'm gonna choke you? Like, who's the first person to triangle choke somebody?
over 100 years old, as opposed to single legs, double legs, which are literally thousands of years old. I mean, it could go back to millennia. That's the craziest thing. Now think about those dates. That's 1913. Now,
what was invented before?
How many things have been invented before 1913? Humans had powered flight before that. The Wright brothers flew years before that happened. By 1913, guys were flying long distances. They were putting guns on aircraft and shooting each other. Submarines have been worked on when we're operating in the Atlantic Ocean. I mean, we were traveling underwater and we were traveling in the air before we had triangle strangles. What's going on here? The combustion engine, the internal combustion engine was working damn well. We had automobiles. We had we had machine guns that could kill people en masse from 1,000 meters away before we had the ability to strangle with our legs.
Wow. When he puts it that way, that's crazy. It's like we did have the ability to do a triangle, but we just never knew, you know? We just didn't know the knowledge back then that we could strangle someone with our legs.
It's this insane situation where it seems like this historical anomaly. Why did it take humanity so long to figure out how to strangle someone with their legs? To the best of our available knowledge, it seems to have occurred long after many others. You know, we had railroads, for Christ's sakes, before we had the ability to strangle with our legs. How did this occur? It wasn't because of a lack of interest in grappling. You know, people were grappling since the dawn of time, and they were very good at it. They had very well developed systems and complete set of skills of wrestling, grappling, submission grappling, what have you. But somehow humanity had completely overlooked this ability to strangle with the legs. And as I said, to the best of our historical knowledge, it just seems to have slipped humanity by until, by some kind of historical accident perhaps, or just an interaction of people, suddenly a group of young people in Japan, and sometime shortly before World War I, came up with the idea, and there it was. Now, once it was introduced, it spread rapidly. Okay, and proficiency in the triangle seems to have occurred very, very quickly. In fact, in 1925, it was that was the year the international, or not international in those days, it was the Kodokan Judo Association decided to radically change 1925. So this is around 15 years after the introduction of the triangle. The Kodokan became so upset at the amount of ground grappling occurring in judo that they made major revisions to the rules of the sport to ensure that people did most of their work standing, because they would call it the Newaza Revolution. It was just too much groundwork going on, and they changed the rules of judo, and they set a precedent which has been worked on.
They nerfed the fun. People were having fun going down to the ground, right? Yeah, they did. They definitely nerfed it. I guess grappling on the ground wasn't that I mean, judo is beautiful. The way people being thrown and people, I think what my coach told me is that judo is a striking art. I'm like, oh, how? And he's like, it's the art of taking the ground, and just, if you could take the ground and just hit someone with it, that's called judo. And I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So technically you're not throwing them on the ground, you're literally using the ground to hit them with.
Since then,
Trying to figure that out. Yeah.
almost all the changes in judo have been more and more restrictive on groundwork.
To force them to play as much standing as possible.
Yeah, to make it predominantly a standing sport. I think people naturally tend to gravitate towards groundwork. It's generally easier on the body. It's generally easier to perform the actions. Takes less skill, and there seems to have been a real ground grappling revolution at this time, and the triangle seems to have been a part of that. Now, something very interesting to consider is that Maeda left for overseas before the invention of the triangle. I believe he left in the early 1900s. He originally went to the United States, and then he vacillated between Europe and Brazil as he traveled around. But he left Japan before the triangle seems to have been invented, to the best of our knowledge. So it's quite possible when Maeda went to Brazil to teach, he didn't know what a triangle strangle was. That's crazy just to think of that. Now, that doesn't mean that he didn't find out later. Maeda traveled a lot, and he interacted with a lot of other grapplers. I'm sure some of those have been updated and learned the triangle strangle. So I'm sure in time he did learn it. But it would appear at the time that he was teaching in Brazil, when he first went in, there's a very high likelihood he didn't know what a triangle was.
Wow.
And I'm curious. Maybe there's historians of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu out there. I hope so. Maybe they could figure out, did he actually transmit the triangle to the early Gracies? Did they have one? To the best of my knowledge, I've never seen a photograph of Elio or any of the other Gracies performing a triangle before the 1970s.
Wow.
I don't recall one. I may be wrong. I'm not saying this is fact. I just don't recall a photo of any pre-1970s triangles performed by any Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys. I just don't recall one. That doesn't mean it didn't happen, doesn't mean it didn't exist, but I don't see any evidence for it at this point off the top of my head.
I mean, like, this story is very fascinating. And you start thinking more about triangles, right? Like,
I say, isn't it crazy to think they're so counterintuitive that no one thought of them, that they thought of internal combustion engines before they thought of triangles. Like, how did that occur in history? It's crazy.
Yeah.
So you've got to start asking yourself, what does that mean for us here today? What is it, if it's so damn counterintuitive and so it took humanity so long to figure it out, what does that mean for us as individuals? Does it mean that the triangle is somehow the most difficult of all logs, that it's one that it occurred as some kind of historical accident, and if it took humanity so long to figure out, is it one that we shouldn't really focus on? It's too complex. When you think of the ideal body type to lock a triangle, if I could design a human being to be a master of the triangle strangle, the lower body would be one of long, thin, and yet very strong legs. Okay? I know many of you, when you hear my response, will say, long, thin, strong legs. That's the opposite of me. I've got short, thick legs. Okay? That's the ideal. That doesn't exclude you from excellence in the use of the triangle stranglehold. It just represents an ideal. Every body type has a set of moves towards which it naturally gravitates. But the historical record is full of great athletes who defied people's expectations based on their body type as to what they would be good at. You can be one of these too. Yes, the length of your legs does play a role in your ability to lock a triangle. It is, in my belief, an advantage to have long.
Hearing John Danaher talking about ideal long legs for triangle makes me feel like on his dates, he's just looking at some woman's legs on his date, and he's just saying, you're good at triangles. You could be good at triangles. You got long, nice legs.
Thin legs. And if I was going to design someone to be a triangle expert, yes, that's what I would go with.
Wow.
Nonetheless, don't sell yourself short. There are going to be a large number of instances where you will be able to go far beyond what you thought you were capable of with your physique and get through to a triangle win. I assure you of this. The number one determinant of whether or not your legs are long enough to get the job done on an opponent who's broad through the shoulders or what have you is not the length of your legs. It's the alignment and positioning of your body.
Yep, that's true.
In particular, what needs to happen is you need to expel your opponent's shoulder or exclude your opponent's shoulder from the lock of your triangle. As much as possible, you only want to incorporate your opponent's neck and one arm into the lock of your triangle. The moment you start incorporating more of his body mass than just the neck and the arm, that's when the problems start. When you're trying to strangle both his neck, his shoulder girdle, and his arm, that's a problem. Then short-legged people are going to be shut out. But if you can always manipulate your body positioning and angle to only lock around the neck and one arm and be disciplined in your application of this, you are going to shock yourself with how many times you can apply a stranglehold, even on people you didn't think you could do so. Is your body type ideal? No. However, you can still be highly, highly proficient in the use of triangles, especially within your own weight class, with someone who's not 2, 3, 4 weight classes above. I've had many students who had quite short legs. In fact, I'm one of them myself. I'm 5 foot, just a little shy of 5'11". I always lie and say,
Oh, I'm 5'11".
6 foot, so I'm kidding.
Just 1 inch, that 1 inch.
And I have short legs for my height. And so my body is far from ideal. I also have a hip replacement, which makes flexibility something of an issue, and I also have a crippled leg that doesn't even straighten, and yet I can lock triangles on people considerably bigger than myself just through good alignment. Would I go first for a triangle on someone who was 6'5" and had shoulders like Gordon Ryan? No, I wouldn't.
No.
There's other things I could do. But anyone within my own weight category or 1 or 2 above, absolutely.
6'5". How heavy is Gordon Ryan? 230 pounds? And he's shit. I have a brain fart. He's skillful at Jiu-Jitsu. Man. Ugh.
It's a move I would employ. Remember,
What
the
a
number one
monster.
determinant is your body positioning and the angle that you can get upon your opponent. Number 2 is a surprising one. People who are very generously built through the stomach and their waist is perhaps a little wider than they ought to be have a difficulty bringing their knees to their chest, and that turns out in many cases to be more of an impediment to your ability to lock a triangle than the length of your legs. If you ask me to put in order of importance what will stop you from locking a triangle, I would say number 1 by a landslide is bad body positioning and angle. Number 2 is excessive waist size, and number 3 is short leg length. Now, only one of those 3 is something you can't change. You can't change the length of your legs, but you can change the size of your waist, and you can definitely and quite easily change the body position and angle when you go in to apply a triangle.
Yep.
So there's 3 factors ranked in order of importance. And of those 3, the 2 most important, you are fully in control of. And the 3rd that you don't control is the least important. So keep that in mind. Yes, leg length does play a role, but not nearly as much as most people would have you believe. Okay? Work a lot on the study of angle and positioning and keep your waistline under control, and you'll find you can triangle a lot of people that you previously thought were impossible. The world is full of short people who had a formidable triangle. One of my mentors was Matt Serra. Now, he has very short legs, and he had a formidable triangle because of good body positioning. Nicky Ryan is not a tall athlete. He's got one of the best triangles I ever saw. A good friend of mine and an even better friend of yours is Marcelo Garcia. Now,
Marcelo has a really
Marcelo
good triangle.
has a damn good triangle. He never got any glory for his
Yeah.
triangle. I think only once in ADCC finals he hit it. So no one ever talks about Marcelo's triangle. Marcelo has a damn good triangle.
Yeah, I know. And I always say that what impressed me the most about Marcelo is that, for example, you see, for example, in my case, I'm good with half guard, I'm good with over underpass, Marcelo is the type of guy that there are like 20 things that he's really good. It's like X guard, one leg X guard,
unfortunately, people they think he's good at
choke.
like 3 or 4. They think, oh, he rear naked strangle, arm drag, and
he has like 15
he's
topics or
much
20
more
topics. And
versatile.
triangle is one of them. That's true. People don't talk so much
no
about
one talks about his
triangles.
triangle.
Yeah, it's really tight. When he closes the triangle, he can do anything.
Yeah, another student of mine who was very proficient in a triangle and his body type wouldn't suggest it was Eddie Cummings. He had a great triangle. He never got a chance to show it in competition because he was always heavy on the legs, and that's where most of his victories came from. Short guy, short legs, great triangle. Nicky Ryan, another one. Marcelo Garcia, another. Matt Serra. So we're pulling up names of guys. You look at their body and how is this guy looking triangles? Okay? All of them had short, chunky legs, and yet all of them had formidable triangles. It has to do much more with your body positioning than it has to do with your leg length. Yes, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to tell you fictions to make you happy, but leg length does play a role, but it's third in line as to what's most important. And the 2 things that are ahead of it in the line are things you directly influence yourself. The one thing you can't change, your leg length, is the third in the, of the factors involved, and in my opinion, the least important.
John, a lot of our listeners are going to want to get better at the triangle. Were there any drills that you had your guys who got really good at it too, or any focus that you
a drill which helped me a lot in my early development is I would often have someone start on my close guard and just post their hands on my biceps, and I would shift side to side and lock triangles without the use of my hands, so that I had to learn dexterity and coordination with my legs alone. I wouldn't let my hands assist me, and I often had my students work drills where they're not allowed to use their arms, and learning to rely on your legs is just such an important thing for your development in the sport. Bernardo, I've often said this. I put a tremendous importance on triangle training, not just as a wonderful submission hold. It's an incredible submission hold, but also for the development of athletes. When I teach beginners, one of the first things I make them work on is triangles. Remember, my impression of Jiu-Jitsu is that it's ultimately Jiu-Jitsu is a battle of my legs versus my opponent's upper body. That's everything we try to do. The triangle is the quintessential example of this. It's a very direct expression of my legs fighting a limited part of my opponent's upper body. So the better students get at triangles earlier, overall, their trust in their legs and their willingness to engage opponents with their legs first and everything else second increases. If you take a room full of 100 beginning white belts and you just work 50 of them on triangles, and you work the others on a mix of upper body and lower body, I guarantee you in the long run, those who worked on their triangles predominantly will be more active with their legs and will be what I call a leg-centric grappler rather than an arm-centric grappler. The function of my training programs is to make athletes leg-centric. When you have a guy who's leg-centric, their development in Jiu-Jitsu is always superior to someone who's arm-centric. The hardest thing to do is to take a 35-year-old man in the sport of Jiu-Jitsu who's used his arms for everything his whole life and only uses his legs for walking, and convince him that he's going to have to go out and fight people with his legs from his back. That's the toughest test for a Jiu-Jitsu coach. And you've got to get people away from an arm-centric existence to a leg-centric existence. When they fight first and foremost with their legs, that's when they make progress. That's when they start going towards excellence in the sport. People's conceptions of Jiu-Jitsu are so limited.
Man, it took me a while to really get familiar, be very, not very, but dexteric with my legs. It took me a while. I could just never really get it in the beginning, but after a while, after doing jiu-jitsu for a certain period of time, it just clicks and I get it, right? So whenever I roll, I do feel like when I'm playing around my legs, I do feel like, oh yeah, there's a purpose. I could get this guy in omoplata, triangles. I could push him off of me. My legs are my other set of arms, so it makes sense
that they're simply underselling themselves with regards to this incredible move. If you talk to the average jiu-jitsu player around the United States and you say, do you like the triangle? So you can see them thinking. Their response is always based on one triangle.
I agree.
The triangle from the front.
Yeah.
Okay, normally employed from guard, but also can be employed from top position. There are 5 major forms of triangle that you can use. 5. So even the question, do you like the triangle, is a stupid, naive question.
Can you mention 5 ones?
Yeah, there's a triangle from the front, the one that everyone knows, the one which is stylistically the most important in competition.
From the back?
There's a triangle from the back, the Ushiro Senkaku. Okay, the triangle from the front is Omote Senkaku, front triangle. The triangle from the back is Ushiro Senkaku. We also have what I often refer to as Hantai Senkaku, or opposite-sided triangle, where you lock the triangle from the front in what appears to be the wrong way. These 3 triangles are strongly linked to each other. Whenever you have one, you always have the other 2. Just by shifting angle, you can go from one to the other. So they form an incredible set of combination attacks. Then we have a second category of triangles, Yoko Senkaku, the side triangle, which is very popular in the sport of judo. And then we have Gyaku Senkaku, the reverse triangle. And these 2 are linked.
The reverse one is the one that Broadus was very well known, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yes. You don't see that one so often, but it's a very, very valuable addition to the arsenal. So really, in answer to your question, Michael, there are 5 triangles out there. The overwhelming majority of students in the sport of Jiu-Jitsu today only use 1 out of 5. Now, granted, the one that they use is, in my opinion, the most high percentage, the most important. But still, they could be doing so much more if they had 5 tools to work with instead of 1. Think about a carpenter who's limited to the use of 1 tool. How good can his work be? Versus a carpenter who has 5 distinct tools, each one for a different purpose. Of course, one is going to do higher grade work than the other. If you have a multiplicity of tools, you're going to do generally finer work than someone who's limited to a single tool. One of the great themes that I want to push in this video is that Jiu-Jitsu players could greatly increase their success rate and their output with the triangle submission if they expanded their mindset from one of the triangle, 1 triangle, to triangles, 5 triangles. And you'll see, I believe, my students have had tremendous success, for example, with Ushiro Senkaku, the triangle from the back. And people, I think, are now starting to use this more. It's becoming something that people are looking for more in competition.
Especially in the EBI events, when they start in the back.
Yeah. So we'll try to expand people's mindset. Is there's 5 triangles to work with. Use all 5. Why limit yourself to 1?
Subscribe for more and check the description.
I mean, the front triangle is literally the most fundamental and basic technique. I think the reason why people first use the first one that's in the curriculum for most jiu-jitsu gym is because, it's like the starter pack for triangles. I mean, once you can get good at triangle someone in the front and you understand the mechanics, then including the other 4 triangles, you'd be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like, it's literally the same thing, but just in different angles. So yeah, I mean, I get it. Wow. All right. Almost. It's been like an hour. Wait, hold on. Yeah, an hour and 13 minutes. Still no one taking the bait. Okay, well, I'm just gonna study some of my cards, my personal cards. There you go. Okay, this line code means they're doing DARS. John Jones is internal position, Gordon Ryan's is above him. This line of code means, I mean, he already established the Darce grip, which is one arm going above him, the right arm going above John Jones's head, push it down, the other one going under his armpit to make a grip. And step 2 is basically pulling John Jones' head towards his shoulder, making him fall over. Step 3 is basically explaining, it's very common this situation that people, they just rush to lock in the Darce and they forget to do the most important detail, which is putting the ear behind the back before fully locking the Darce, because if they're rushing to lock the Darce, the guy will have this moment of to lay on his back to protect himself from getting darced. So with your ear behind his back, you're basically stopping him from laying on his back. Step 4 is basically so you're gonna shoot your left hand in. Hold on, let me see. Darce. That. Oh, now I'm getting confused. Well, what was it like again? This hand goes straight under. Make a cable grip. Pull inside. No, it's that. Okay, yeah. You're looking this way. So left hand rushes in, pushes deeper in, and right hand it goes up. So step 5 is bring up. So basically I'm bringing my right hand up and it's gonna make it tighter. And step 6 means basically I'm gonna pull my left arm back and, you know, squeeze and finish it with a Darce. That was a good card. What was it? Yes. Anticipation opponent, low position 2, go over. Can't remember this one. Trying to figure it out. Oh yeah. No, and now it's hitting me. I know, I forgot the name of what this position is called, but yeah, step 1, he's in I forgot what position was it, but I know. Step 2, so step 2 is basically he's gonna put his legs together and push the opposite way to kind of basically juke the guy. The guy is gonna respond by turning the other way to his left side, and you're gonna go with the flow by moving that direction that he's resisting towards. Step 4, take opportunity, go low, go over, sweet spot, lay flat. So when he turns his hip to the side, you're gonna lay flat to your stomach, like you're doing a sprawl. And from there, and at the same time as you're doing a sprawl, you're gonna underhook his right side with your left arm. This line of code right here means that, yeah, you're pushing down his knees together. Wait, hold on. So detail important, make harder, sweet spot, prefer position, restrain. Hold position, wait, prone, frustrate. Ooh, is greater than warning T level. Yeah. You don't... This line of code means, yeah, you don't want to lose that position, but I can't remember specifically. There's just something that's missing in that line code that I can't recall exactly. Step 5, go over, keep safe, pull towards. Go over, keep safe, pull towards. Yeah, this is a pretty hard one. My brain's not recalling much. Oh, okay, yeah. So, yeah, now I remember. He's posting... Oh, keeps... So he's basically dragging that guy's leg to the side. Yep. Wait, hold on. No, that's not right. Step 5. Well, to be honest, I can't remember exactly. So I'm gonna press again, and basically that means I've failed to fully review this card. So it's gonna come back 15 minutes later, and I'll have to find the video associated with it to review what I'm missing. To find what I'm missing, excuse me. So this next card, passing a seated guard with unhooks by John Donner. Okay, so one guy is sitting on his butt and seated guard. John is up position, very common. Yep. So in this position, you definitely want to hand fight the guy. Grab both his wrists. Step 3, move forward. So, and then you're gonna step more closer once you grab his wrists, and then let go, and you're gonna go over to his shoulders and start pushing. Take opportunity one moment. So once you're pushing, you're gonna put your arm to your side, glued, and push on the left side, and this is gonna cause you both from falling down, and right when you fall down, that's your opportunity with your right arm that you tucked away to go under the guy's armpit to underhook him to prevent him from going towards your back once you guys both fall over. Step 5 is that quick post spot, take away equals HP, hold position. So this is when you post your left hand out to prevent him from rolling you over. Optional, make you see this is going to be your head, post it as well with your left hand. So double insurance. Step 6, make use of push away. You can use your feet to kick his legs to free your right leg that's stuck between his legs. And then from here, you're gonna grab his, take your left hand that's posted and go to the guy's back of his triceps. What? What's up, Alexander Reed? Welcome to my house. That's weird. How come I don't see the chat here? Okay, that's pretty good. It's weird. Phoenix. Step Over. Beat the Step Over by Craig Jones. Step 1. This time of code means he's in some sort of half guard. Not fully a half guard because one leg's posted. Step 2. Makes mistakes. This is hinting at what? He is sliding. Oh no. What was it? Step 2. Yeah, he beats the leg that's hooked on my left. The leg that's hooked on his right foot. J2. So I had to be very wary of that, because if he beats my leg, beats the leg that's hooked under his left leg with my left leg, it's going to lead to either he's passing, going on side mount, or he's going to full mount. So on this step line code, same thing, but he's hiding his left foot between his butt. But if he makes mistakes from here of not hiding that foot, his left foot, then that's my opportunity to hook it with my right foot. And I would continue from there. I could go from single leg or transitioning to deep half guard or whatever. Step 2. Or from here, I could, you know, swim my right leg into a butterfly frame. Step 3. So this is right here is a full half guard. Act quick. Let's see. So this is when my opponent is in my half guard and he brings his right leg posted up. I better act quick. Oh, okay, so the leg that's hooked on his left leg, it's gonna drop down and stop him from hiding that left foot that goes under his butt. And I'm also make a grip. I'm gonna make a 2-on-1 grip, because once he brings back that posted leg back to both knees on the ground, I'm gonna take an opportunity to pull his whole arm to a different side and weave my head under. Yep, that's what step 4 is. So that card was pretty good. Okay, now I have to fix this card. Okay.
Hi guys, Professor.
Okay, so okay, so let's get this. So what am I missing? I stopped right here. Okay, let's do 112. See what I'm missing from there.
You can see that this leg is above this leg.
Yeah.
If we land in reverse, good chance they get half guard. Easier for them to move, easier for plant the toes and move. We want to land here and all our weight right into that leg. That's key. That's going to take a lot of drilling if you're new to this position, but it's the way we guide our hips. We've got to turn our knees to the direction we want to go, and we want to sprawl low and wide. And when we sprawl, we're going to slide out, and that's what drags the top leg over the bottom. But again, we're setting this up with reactions here, right? We're trying to force this, cut the underhook, sprawl wide, and lead with your left hip, your inside hip. This is where we want to land. So we'll do that one more time. So look at the position around, get your partner to try and move. You're trying to move around. Very difficult here. I'm controlling the hips so they can't make space, and I'm heavy here so they can't bring that leg back into half guard. If I landed here, we're landing in half guard. We haven't made the space. So again, this leg needs to land over the top, and the wider the better. If you can split them, we're splitting the groin, we're controlling them very easy. So let's look at it from a different angle. We're here, we're faking the knee cut, they pressure back, sprawl. I keep sprawling until the leg comes over the top leg here. So this is where we want to land, and again, gonna take a lot of practice. It took me a lot of practice to work out how to do this pass. So let's look at how we can pass straight to mount. Best case scenario, right? Cup the hip. What I want to do is I want to reach for this arm, this inside arm, and I want to reach above the elbow for the tricep, right? I want to put this shoulder flat on the floor. So how do I do that? I do it by lifting inside and moving my body up. This is where we want to land. I do it by lifting inside. They have this leg blocking us.
Yeah.
So I want to go straight them out, but this leg's in the way, right? So how do we get rid of it? If you stay still, they're blocking us from going to mount with this knee. We can't bring it straight to mount. So I want to reach for this arm, this inside arm, and I want to reach above the elbow for the tricep, right? I want to put this shoulder flat on the floor. So how do I do that? I do it by lifting inside and moving my body up. This is where we want to land. We want to be heavy on this side, right? What we're going to do next is we're going to go straight to mount, right? But a lot of guys, when we try to go to mount here, they have this leg blocking us. So I'm going to go straight to mount, but this leg's in the way, right? So how do we get rid of it? If you stay still, they're blocking us from going to mount with this knee. We can't bring it straight to mount. So how do we get rid of it? We get rid of it by moving the other leg. The groin only has so much flexibility, so if we can move this lower leg, the bottom leg's gonna...
Yep, okay. Taking a weak spot there. Step 7.
Follow. Or someone's gonna tear in here, right? So if we look where we're at right now, we put them on their back. We're trying to bring this in, but you bring your knee to your chest. This one's coming up to block, so we need to move the bottom leg. So I put my knee into their knee, and I start to walk it back.
Yeah.
And we've really stretched them out here, and we can go right knee under armpit to mount.
Oh.
I stretch the shoulder and bring...
That's what I'm missing right here. Is the little... Okay, that makes sense. Okay. That was done review. Okay, same. Saved. Survive. Ugh. Just- Okay. I think we have our first person. What's up, RC 1983? So, what do you want to do? I mean, if anyone has any questions or anything, just message in the chat. Okay. Jeez. Hmm. Hmm. Well, let's see. Well, it's been 2 hours. Next time. All right, for anyone who's watching, which I doubt it, I'll be ending the stream right now. So, hopefully there'll be another, let's see, hopefully there'll be more people who come and ask questions for anything that they have about the method or anything. But yeah, feel free whenever. I'll be streaming again. Yep, next Tuesday. So, all right, that's pretty much it for this stream. Oh, and catch anyone. All right.